We now have enough star power to go to another world, but before that we must help your special one. Are you prepared to travel to the centre of the universe? No, I'm not. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the final episode of Super Luigi Galaxy. This episode, we're going to be doing the 2 bonus things we get for getting every star. Well, one of them we've had for a while, which is in here. I just haven't got around to doing it yet.
Let us begin.
So, this is Rosalina's storybook. She's technically reading it, but I'm going to read it in my own voice because otherwise there's a lot of shitty American accent to go. Chapter 1, The Celestial Duo. Our story begins a very, very long time ago with a young girl. One day the girl spotted a rusted spaceship holding a small star child. What's your name? Are you lost? The girl asked the star child. I'm Luma, and I'm waiting for Mama. She's coming for me on a comet, said the star child, who had been waiting day and night. Don't worry, I'll wait with you, the little girl promised Luma. At nightfall, the little girl borrowed her father's telescope and peered into the sky. She looked and looked, but she saw nothing. Hours turned into days and then years, but still the sky revealed nothing. Finally, the little girl sighed and said to Luma, If we stay here much longer, I'm going to be an old lady soon. But then she had an idea. Why don't we go out there and find your mother ourselves? The girl and the Luma fixed up the rusty spaceship and the 2 of them set sail into the starry sky. And that is how the search for the Celestial Mother began. So, you unlock a new chapter every now and again. You'll have seen when it says, I think it's every 10 stars or something like that. So I waited to do them all together. Chapter 2, Star Bits. Days passed with no sign of the comet or even a single planet. Instead, asteroids extended for as far as the eye could see. If I had known I was going to take this long, I would have packed more jam, said the little girl above the rumble of her belly. Before they left, she had packed the essentials. Telescope, butterfly net, stuffed bunny, bread, milk, jam, and apricot-flavoured tea, but I forgot to bring water. At this, the Luma burst into gales of laughter, and the girl began to pout. As long as I have star bits, I'll be fine, said Luma. Want some? The little girl hearing this couldn't stay mad. The little girl couldn't stay mad after hearing this, even. Luma continued to laugh, and the girl couldn't help but join in. Alright, maybe just a nibble. Leaning far out of the ship, the pair began to collect star bits with the girl's nets. They almost fell out a few times, but they kept on collecting. The star bits tasted like honey. Chapter 3, The Comet. A beam of light pierced through the ship's window. Thinking it was the morning sun, the girl peered through the window, only to find a turquoise-blue comet shimmering at her. The little girl shook the sleeping Luma awake and shouted excitedly, We have to get that comet! The pair descended on the comet and found it was made of ice. They looked high and low, but Luma's mother was nowhere to be found. Exhausted, the little girl finally sat down with a flop, utterly unable to take another step. Look! Peering down at the icy ground where Luma was pointing, the girl suddenly noticed starbits encased in the ice. Pretty good, her. Finding starbits is my specialty, said Luma, beaming. There's ice here, but it's so warm. I bet there'll be water here too. They too decided to stay on the comet for a while. Riding the turquoise comet, the pair continued their search for Luma's mother. Chapter 4, The Dream. One night, the girl dreamed about her own mother. Where are you going? She asked her mother's retreating back. Without turning, her mother replied, Don't fret, dearest. I'm not going anywhere. I'm always watching over you, like the sun in the day and the moon in the night. A wave of sadness washed over the girl. What about when it rains and I can't see the sun or the moon? Her mother thought for a moment before responding. I will turn into a star in the clouds and wait for your tears to dry. When she awoke, the girl's face was damp with tears. You have starbits in your eyes, said Luma to the girl. Wiping her face, the girl replied, "These are tears, not star bits. I'm crying because I'll never see my mother again." At this, Luma also began to cry. "Mama, oh mama, wah." The pair travelled through the starry skies, and though they encountered many other comets, not one of them held Luma's mother. Luma was despondent. Now, Luma, the rain clouds won't go away if you keep crying," the girl said, giving Luma a squeeze. "I'll give you a present if you stop." The girl closed her eyes and said gently, "I'll take care of you." With these words, she felt a small spark in her heart. Chapter 5. Home. The kitchen will go here, and the library will go over there, the girl said bitterly to herself. "We'll put the gate here." Ever since the girl took Luma under her care, she'd been bustling about at a feverish pace. It'll be a lot of work, but it's worth it to make a happy home. It turned out the starbits weren't the only things buried in the ice. There were tools and furniture unlike anything they'd ever seen, and the girl used them to build a home. Looking at the completed house, Luma remarked, "Don't you think it's awfully big for just the two of us?" With a library, bedroom, kitchen, fountain and gate, it was certainly spacious, but still something seemed to be missing. "If only my father, brother and mother were here," the girl said wistfully. Indeed, the house was too large for its two small residents. That night, clutching her favourite stuffed bunny close to her heart, the girl fell asleep in the starship. Chapter 6. Friends. Then one day, while the girl sat sipping tea, a tiny apricot-coloured planet appeared over the horizon. From the planet, another Luma of the same colour emerged. "Do you two know each other?" the girl asked the two Lumas gleefully. Despite the girl's excitement, they seemed uneasy. The two Lumas neither drew closer nor backed away from one another. Instead, they just stared. Then one Luma broke the silence. "My mama!" At once, the apricot Luma parroted back, "My mama! My mama! My mama! My mama!" Well, that's lost all meaning now, that phrase. The two Lumas began to dance around the girl frantically, and neither showed any sign of stopping. The girl was so charmed by this adorable scene she couldn't help but laugh. And that's when something very strange happened. Suddenly, more Lumas began to pop out from the apricot planet. They were different colours, but they were all shouting the same thing. "My mama! My mama!" The sight of all the shouting Lumas only made the girl laugh harder. What am I going to do with all these children? The Lumas just stared blankly as she doubled over laughing. "I guess we'll have to name each and every one of you." Tomorrow, once she had finished naming them all, she would begin moving all the Lumas into the new house. Chapter 7. The Telescope. After seeing their 100th comet, a sudden thought popped into the girl's head. I wonder if my home planet is still as blue as it was. That's when she remembered her father's telescope. Peeking into the telescope, a tiny blue dot floated into sight. It was smaller than a starbit. How strange, it's so far away, but it feels so close. She twisted the knob of the telescope, and the blue dot grew until she could make out a grassy hill dotted with flowers. It seemed very familiar to her. Zooming even closer, a terrace on the hill came into view. I used to go stargazing there when I lived on my home planet. She remembered rubbing the sleep out of her eyes as she followed her father up that hill to look at the stars. She remembered how she and her brother would sled down that hill. She remembered having picnics with her mother on that hill on bright and windy days. And... I want to go home! I want to go home right now! The girl burst into tears and the Lumas didn't know what to do. I want to go home! I want to go back to the house by the hill! I want to see my mother! The girl was shouting now, her face was wet with tears. But I know that she's not there. I knew all along because she wasn't out there in the sky. I knew all along that she wasn't out there in the sky because... She's sleeping under the tree on the hill. The girl's cries echoed through the stars, and a hush fell over the area. Chapter 8. The Wish. Though usually quite cheery, one day the girl became sad again. Luma drew close and tried to comfort her. "Mama, you still have me?" And don't be sad about your mama, because she's a part of you. That means she's always close by. It's like me. I love starbits because they remind me of my mama. No, no, the girl said, unable to stop the tears. A lonely look flickered across Luma's face, but it was soon replaced by a wide grin. I have an idea. I will transform into a comet, a soaring comet that can carry you all on this journey. With that, Luma, trailing bands of white, soared high into the sky, and just as quickly started to plummet back down. Kaboom! Kablam! The ground shook, and a bright light poured out of the crater that Luma had created. The bands of light twisted together to form a comet tail. And then Luma emerged, reborn as a comet. The girl could scarcely believe her eyes. But how? She kept asking. Our destiny as Lumas is to transform into different things, said a red Luma who had suddenly appeared. Stars, comets, planets. We can become all of these things. When I grow up, I want to become a star that makes someone special smile, said a green Luma. A blue Luma chimed in. That Luma turned into a real cutie of a comet, didn't he? All the Lumas together said, No more crying, Mama. Thank you, said the girl in a whisper, and she pulled the Lumas close and hugged them. From that day on, starbits no longer fell from the girl's eyes. The comet set forth for the girl's home planet, its long tail blazing proudly behind it. Final chapter. Family. With its many Lumas and telescopes, the comet was quite a sight to behold. The girl and the Lumas were proud to call it home. At a welcoming party for a new Luma, the girl gathered everyone in the kitchen and said in a louder voice than usual, Alright everyone, let's make a cake sprinkled with star bits, then it'll be a star cake. The Lumas excitedly began to gather the ingredients. As she watched the Lumas scurry about, the girl smiled to herself and thought, This is my family now, and I'm ready to stay with them until they're ready to leave the nest. And when they do leave, I'll see them off with a smile. Because that's what makes a mother happiest. That night, when the girl lay down to sleep, a soft light enveloped her, and reminded her of the blue planet she once called home. But it would be nice to return home once every 100 years, to nap in my favourite sleeping nook. The comet carrying the Lumas and the girl continues on its journey to this very day. With more family members in tow than can be counted, it's said that the comet visits the girl's home planet once every 100 years, its proud white tail glittering in the sky. The end.
That's all.
My story is finished. And there we have it, in case you needed it at all or wanted it. There is Rosalina's backstory and the backstory in the Comet Observatory and where it originally came from. It's quite a nice tale, if a little heavy-handed, but kind of poignant in its own way. Anyway, that's one of the things we've unlocked. Our final thing we unlock for having got every star, well, they said another world. What we first need to do is defeat Bowser again. So, speed on as I do Bowser's Galaxy Generator 1 second time. and so, yes, with that, we will get our reward for 100%, well, technically 200% in the game, or you're about to see. With Mario, you beat the game, you get all 120 stars, and then you beat Bowser's Galaxy Re-Enter as well. Again, that's what unlocks Luigi mode. With Luigi, when you do it, you've technically 200% of the game, got 240 stars in total, I think, and so that gets you something new, which we'll talk about in a bit. But this is time for my usual reflection during the credits. This has been a really good fun series to record. I would say anything other than the last few sessions, like this one and the one before probably, just because of the nature, I talked about this a few episodes ago, because of the nature of the comet stars and the bonus and stuff like that. There's a lot more off-camera time, which has just made it drag a little bit more, but I think that's a reflection on how much it didn't drag at the beginning, rather than that it is now. It's just actually that I just notice it more at the moment. I kind of wish I could have given more time to it. I think one of the reasons why it feels it's just because it's so much off-camera time and a lot of practice time going into it is just really unfortunate because it's a really bloody busy time for me. So currently it's the 26th of June at the moment, so this will be going up over the next week or so. And then, basically, June and July are stupidly busy for me because I'm kind of finishing up the final experiments of my PhD. By the end of July, I'll have finished experiments and I've just got to write up my thesis, which will take as long as it takes, and at least that's a lot less stressful because I don't have to worry with animal experiments and timing things and trying to squeeze everything in, which will be just got time to sit back and write, so it'll be getting less busy, which would have been ideal for this, but I think that's better for my next project, which I really want time to be able to sit down and record. It's been a really good game, I think, generally to play on. I think it worked well in the Let's Play scenario, and it's been relatively painless to actually 100% it, all things considered. Because it kind of never really, only right towards the end did it seem to lose kind of much momentum. It had some really difficult stars, but honestly one of the weird things with this is all of the difficult stars, once I was on recording, were nowhere near as bad as I thought they were going to be. There were some which were awful during practicing, which took me ages, but very few. I'd say probably the Daredevil Melting Molten was probably the one that gave me the most trouble, but it really didn't give me that much trouble, I don't think. Mario games are always a difficult one to judge when it comes to kind of story, but this one has a simple but effective story. It doesn't try and be anything ridiculous like Sunshine is. It's just Rosalina's got a kind of interesting backstory as kind of someone who's gone through her own family trauma. I always interpret that as that her mother had died, and the way she deals with that is by looking after other children, so Lumas, until they're ready to kind of move on, and I quite like that as a little thing. It's simple, but it's effective. They really make the most, or make a lot of the kind of the galaxy mechanic, the fact you've got the gravity systems and stuff like that. Like, there are so many really cool mechanics in this game. And then there's Boo Luigi, which is really cool, and it's in like 2 missions in the entire game, but not the time bitter about it. Technically it's in 3, so But I think they use the mechanics pretty well, and I would say the sequel, Mario Galaxy 2, if I ever get around to doing it properly, because I've kind of half done it as the green stars, and if I do it properly, it really does. It's a perfect sequel in the sense that it expands on those things, and it really feels by the end of those 2 games they have done everything they can do with it, which is good. That is ideal. I think as a Mario game, I still prefer Mario Sunshine, and I think I always will, and so much of that is nostalgia, and I think I really like the way the levels are designed in Sunshine, both the kind of the large levels where you do more stars in fewer levels, but also just the kind of bright Sunshine design of it I'm always going to really like. And I complained about this throughout this, is that you have many worlds rather that you do fewer things in. I just don't think I like it quite so much as the fewer worlds. But it's a really good game, and I've loved doing it. So what's next? Well, first, let's return to our reward.
Thank you.
I will watch over you from beyond the stars. So, we got that extra cutscene. We also get the Grand Finale Galaxy is now open. Let's return for one final time to the Comet Observatory. So, how do we get to this? Well, first off, we have to weirdly head as if we were going to go to the planet of Trials. The visualizer, you'll see when I throw it up in a bit, positions this final star in the Grand Finale Galaxy, in the planet of Trials, technically, because it is from up here, so it's a slightly odd one. But you'll recognise it, certainly, if you don't already know what this is. So, the Grand Finale Galaxy has one mission, the Star Festival. Figured out what this is yet? Yes, it's the scene from the beginning of the game, except it's now been redone as the world's easiest purple coin mission, which just gets you a little chance to run through, and it's kind of a finisher to the game quite nicely here. So this is your reward for 200%ing the game, is this final star. So, I guess at this time, what's next? Well, as ever, I continue my tradition of doing an inter-project project. This time, it's going to be a short one. I mean, they're always short ones, that's literally why I choose them. This time is going to be another one from my childhood. The probably not great objectively, but enjoyable to me game that is James Bond 007 Nightfire on the Nintendo GameCube, and that will be hopefully a good one to look forward to. If basically you just want to see a Pierce Brosnan Bond film that you haven't seen yet, it's basically that, and it's entertaining. But that's the Inter-Project project, that'll last just for a couple of weeks, and then the next real project.
Mr. Luigi, you gotta hear this. We did such a good job there promoting us to Royal Guards. With me as the Royal Guard Commander, no one will ever consider Peach again, ever. Koopas, boos, giant overgrown moles, whatever, bring it on. But yes, my next major project, well, immediately following this, I will drop a teaser. Oh, don't forget this final one on top of the Starshroom. Can be missed quite easily. I will drop a trailer immediately after this, but what I will say about it is, it's a franchise I've already done several games from already. I'm extremely excited for this. I wanted to do this for a while, and I'm very excited to do it. And it's also by many different ways of measuring it, it is considered one of, if not the best game ever. So if that doesn't give it away, I don't know what will, but hey, I know what will be dropping a trailer after this. So thank you very much for watching Super Luigi Galaxy. I hope you've enjoyed the journey, I certainly have. And I hope you will join me for Nightfire, and then a few weeks later for the next major project. Thank you very much, and for one final time, I've been the Doctor. Good day.